Okay guys, I am going to go over the area and surface area pretest that you should have completed. If you didn't complete it, that's okay. Just make sure that you watch this video and watch me solve the problem so that you know how to solve each problem before the real test, which I will post on Thursday morning. So the first problem says a square has a side length 7 centimeters. What is its area? So if we remember, a square that has a side length of 7. Since a square has all sides equal, this is a 7 and this is a 7. So to find the area of the square, I do length times width. So for this problem, since this is 7, I would do 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. Now, on your tests that you take on Thursday, they are not going to have centimeters or inches or anything. It'll just be the number. So don't worry about any of that we've been going over in class. It's just going to be the number. So for number 1, the area of this square would be 49 because 7 times 7 is 49. So for number 2, it says for each pair of numbers, circle the number that is greater. So we have 12 to the power of 2 or 13 to the power of 2. So remember, this does not mean 12 times 2. It means to multiply 12 2 times. So you would do 12 times 12. So 12 times 12 is 144. This one is not 13 times 2, it is 13 times 13. And that is 169. So based on this, 12 to the second power and 13 to the second power, which one is greater? This one's 144 and this one is 169. So 13 to the power of 2 would be greater. Remember, you will have calculators and you're allowed to use your calculator, so you don't have to actually do the work like that. Next one, 2B, we have 40 to the power of 2 or 10 to the power of 4. Again, this is not 40 times 2. It would be 40 times 40. So that is 1,600. And then for 10 times 4, I'm going to first do 10 times 10, in which we know 10 times 10 is 100. So I'm going to multiply it by 10 again. And that would be 1,000. And then I would multiply it by 10 again for that power of 4. And that would be 10,000. So which is bigger, 1,600 or 10,000? The answer is 10,000. So the answer that is greater is 10 to the 4th power. And again, you don't have to show this work on the test, but I just wanted you to be able to see how I did that. All right, next problem is select all the triangles that have an area of 20 square units. Remember, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. You have to remember to divide it by 2 or you're going to get it wrong. So the very first one, A, looking at A, your base is 4 times your height, which is 10. And if I divided that by 2, 4 times 10 is 40, divided by 2 is 20. So A would work. B, your base is 10 and your height is the line going straight through the middle, which is 2, and then divide that by 2. So 10 times 2 is 20, and then when you divide that 20 by 2, you get 10. So B will not work. C, your base is 4 times your height, which is 10. And if you flip these two, that would be okay on this one because either one could be the base and either one could be the height. And then if I divide it by 2, 4 times 10 is 40. And then divide that by 2 is 20. So C would work. Now let's look at D. Here your base is 4 and your height is 5. And then I'm going to divide it by 2. So 4 times 5 is 20. And then when I divide that by 2, I get 10. So would that work? No. And then the very last one is E. So my base is 2 times my height, which is 10. And I'm going to divide that by 2. And 20 times 10 is 20. And divide it by 2 is 10. So that would not work. So the only two that would give you 20 square units would be choice A and choice C. All right, now we're going to look at number 4. Number 4 is a parallelogram. So for number 4, the area is base times height. Now, I had several people message me and say that they could not find the base and the height because there were not numbers labeled. When there are not numbers labeled and it is on grid paper, you actually have to count the numbers and you have to count the height. So, for choice A, if you counted the numbers on the bottom, the squares, sorry, if you counted the squares on the bottom, there would be 6 squares. And then if you counted the numbers of squares for the height, there would have been, it goes up 3 squares. So 6 times 3 is 18. And we are trying to find the parallelograms that have a area of 25. So that would not work. And I'm also going to post a picture of the actual answer key that I have right here in front of me. So you can actually look at it to see how many I counted and how I counted everything. Okay, choice B. If you count the squares on the bottom, you would get 5. And if you counted how many it goes up, you would get 5. 5 times 5 is 25, and that is what we're looking for, so B would work. And I just realized I didn't show y'all that one. Okay, next one is C. Again, count the squares on the bottom, and you get 5. And then you count how many it goes up, and you get 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So choice C, sorry. Choice C does work. And then choice D. You count the numbers squares on the bottom, which is 5. And then it goes up 5. And 5 times 5 is 25. So D would also work. So for number 4, B, C, and D all give you the area of 25. Okay, number 5. Guys, that very first one that I posted on number 5, I actually got the answer wrong because I did not read it correctly. It says a cube has a side length of 5 inches. Select all the values that represent the cube's volume in cubic inches. I actually did surface area, so that's why if you got this one marked wrong, it's my fault because I misread it. So if I were to take a cube and if I were to make a net, this is what the net would look like. Something like that. It's not perfect. And based on this, each one is 5. Every side length is 5. So if I were to find the volume of this cube, I would do length times width times height. So the length is 5 and the width is 5 and the height is 5. So the only two choices that actually give me this as an answer is choice D, because it actually lists 5 times 5 times 5. And then you could also choose choice B, which is 5 to the 3rd power, which is the same exact thing. All right, so number 6. You have a rectangular prism with dimensions 2 by 2 by 5. What is its volume and what is its surface area? So let me draw that as best I can right now. So I know the height is 2, the length is 5, and the width is 2. So again, volume is length times width times height. So this one should be fairly easy to find the volume. For my length, we have 5. My width is 2. And then my height is 2. So I would do 5 times 2 times 2. And 5 times 2 times 2 is 20. So that is how you would find the volume. 5 times 2 times 2, which is 20. Okay, and then you also have to find the surface area of that rectangular pyramid. Sorry, I have to redraw it. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And you can probably refer to it better in the picture that you have in front of you. So the very first thing is we're going to find the area of the front and the back. Remember, those two are the same. The front and the back are the exact same. So to find the area of the front and the back, I would do 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and I'm going to add it again because I have a front and a back. So I did 2 times 5 to find the area of the front. Now I'm going to do the top and bottom, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. It is also going to be 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and I'm going to do it a second time because I have a top and a bottom. In the last, I would do the 2 sides, and to find the area of the 2 sides, I would do 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and I'm going to list it again because I have another side. Now that I have found the area of the front, back, top, bottom, and 2 sides, I'm going to add that all up, and when I add it all up, it gives me 48. So my answer would be 48. This is the front and the back. This is the top and bottom, and these are the 2 sides, and then I add it all up together, and I get 48. Okay, number 7. The figure is a diagram of a wall. Lengths are given in feet. How many square feet of wallpaper would be needed to cover the entire wall, both the triangle and rectangle? So I'm going to draw that out kind of real quick. Okay, we're going to begin with the rectangle. The rectangle is a 6 by 5, so I'm going to multiply length times width. So I would do 6 times 5, and 6 times 5 is 30. So that I have my rectangle. Now I'm going to find the area of the triangle. My height is 4, and I need to find my base. This base is even to this, so this is also 5. So I would do 5 times 4, and remember it's a triangle, so we divide it by 2. So 5 times 4 is 20, and then 20 divided by 2 is 10. So now I have that triangle is 10, and this is 30, so I would add the 2. So 30 plus 10 gives me 40, so the whole figure would equal 40. First, you find the area of the rectangle, find the area of the triangle, and then add the 2 together to get your final answer. Okay, the next one. You have to find the area of the given figure and explain your reasoning. So this is on grid paper, so again, you actually have to count the squares in order to find out the side lengths. So I'm going to do my best to draw this. And we've done some problems like this in class. So you just kind of need to refresh your memory. Now I'm not going to draw the squares in it. But remember that we need to separate this into rectangles and triangles because that's what we understand and that's what we know how to find the area. So we have to separate it into rectangles and triangles. So what I would do is I would extend this line, and now I have a rectangle here. So let's find the area of this rectangle. When I count all the squares down this side, I should get 14. When I count the squares on top, I should get 4. So to find the area of this rectangle, I would multiply 14 times 4, and 14 times 4 is 56. So I was able to find the area of that rectangle. Now, is this a rectangle or triangle? It is not, so I have to separate it. So I would draw a line right here, separating that. So now let's find the area of this rectangle. If I count the squares from green to red line, I get 7. And if I count the squares from this to here, I also get 7. So I would multiply 7 times 7, and 7 times 7 is 49. And so the last is this triangle right here. Again, this equals this, so I know this is 7. And then I'm going to count how many squares it goes from right here. From the tip, very top, all the way down to the base. And that is 5. There are 5 squares. So I would do 7 times 5, and it's a triangle, so I divide it by 2. And 7 times 5 divided by 2 is 17.5. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add all 3 of those shapes. This rectangle, and this triangle. So it is 56 plus 49 plus 17.5. And when I add all those up, I would get 122.5. So that is how you would answer number 8. Questions on that one? Sorry, you can't answer my questions right now anyways. Alright, and then the very last one on the here is a net made of right triangles and rectangles. All measurements are given in centimeters. Okay, so here it is, the best I can do. It's not perfect, but it'll work. First question says, if the net were folded and assembled, what type of polyhedron would it make? First of all, it's going to make a prism because its faces are rectangles and then its bases are triangles. Since the bases are triangles, it would make a triangular prism. Now this one looks just a little bit different because all these are equal. So it's going to look a little bit different, but you can kind of see how it would actually look the same or very similar to each other because the bases are rectangles. I mean, sorry, the faces are rectangles and the bases are triangles. So that's why it kind of looks very similar. So that is the answer to 9A. And then 9B, you have to find the surface area of this figure. So we're going to find the area of each triangle and each rectangle, and then we would add them all up. So let's start with this one. We have 8 and 5. So I would multiply 8 times 5, and that gives me 40. So that one is 8 times 5, and that is 40. The middle one, I would multiply 8 times 6. And 8 times 6 is 48. So I have found the middle one. And then the last one is 8 by 4. And 8 by 4 is 32. So I found the area of the first one by doing 8 times 5. The middle one by doing 8 times 6, and the very last one by doing 8 times 4. Okay, and now I'm ready to move on to those two triangles. My base is 5, and my height is 4. So I would do 5 times 4, and it's a triangle, so divide it by 2. So 5 times 4 divided by 2 is 10. And so now let's do this one over here. Sorry, you can't see it. My base is 4 and my height is 5. So I would do 4 times 5 equals, and it's a triangle, so I have to divide it by 2. So 4 times 5 is 20, and when I divide it by 2, I get 10. So now I'm going to add up all 5 of those numbers, and it's going to give me my final answer. So I have 2 10s, a 40, a 48, and a 32. When I add all that up, I get a surface area of 140. Okay, so that's all the questions that are on the test. I went over on this video and showed you how to work each one. I am also going to post a picture of my actual answer key and me actually working the problems that you can also look over. Continue to look over this and study this tonight and tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I'm going to actually post the final test for area and surface area. It's going to look a little different. I did it in Google Forms, so everything is going to be a multiple choice. Make sure that you write your first and last name in it at the very top. There's a blank for you to do that. And then every question should be multiple choice after that. Some questions have multiple answers, and if they have multiple answers, then I've told you exactly how many answers it has. So like on number 4, the answer was B, C, and D. It has 3 answers. So I told you that it has 3 answers. If you do not get those exact 3 answers correct on number 4, it's going to mark the whole problem wrong. So do your best. Take your time. Use a calculator. Once you open up the document, you cannot get out of it. So make sure that when you're ready to take the test, that you're ready to actually take the test, because you cannot stop it. If you have any questions, you can email me, greeningb, GREENINGB, @nlrsd.org, and I'll get right back to you. See y'all soon.